And go.
Shout out to Montel Fontaigne supporter, and welcome to another episode of The Thinker and the Joker. I don't think I pronounced his name correctly, Reda, but it was not bad on a quick whim attempt.
I think you got it right. Montel Vontavious Porter. For anyone who's wondering what that is, it's the guy MVP in our background. He's a former WWE wrestler. Not sure what he does now, but yeah, we used to like him.
Yeah, we used to like him. We wanted something in the background, that will have you question who he is. But yeah, if you do have a chance, or if you are wrestling fans and you don't know of him, if you're young wrestling fans, then I do recommend you watching some of his older matches.
That's right, and I think he represents a part of our life when we used to be in Cyprus and we'd hang out together a lot and we'd watch those WWE events.
Yeah, we watched them in French.
Yeah, well, that was we used to watch. So that was the WWF that we used to watch in French. I remember. You would get the tapes, I think, or your brother would get the tapes. Then he would give the tapes to my brother, and I'd watch it that way.
I watched them, and I had to watch them in black and white because of the PAL SECAM. Remember that back in the day, you had PAL and SECAM.
Oh, that's right. It used to be in black and white and in French.
But it's so weird that this problem is just something that disappeared from all televisions, regardless of where you buy your TV. Now that everything is kind of digital and smart and whatever, you just update it and everything. Like, there isn't even a PAL SECAM issue because everything is, running through HDMI, right?
Well, yeah, but actually, you have just brought me back because I completely forgot that I used to watch things in black and white if they weren't compatible.
Yeah.
And
even video games, man, like Mega Drives and stuff.
That's right.
If someone gave you a game and they got it from the Middle East and they brought it to Cyprus, it'd be in black and white because they were like on the American system.
I mean, even more recently, I think, with the PlayStation 2, where if you bought a Japanese game, it would be in black and white if it wasn't compatible as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's weird. But yeah, these are problems that aren't issues anymore, thankfully, thanks to the great work of Samsung, Toshiba, and our other sponsors.
By the way, I wanted to bring up something from our last podcast, and one of our listeners brought that up. There was a part where you said, you asked me actually if I live in Nigeria, and I said yes. And then I was going to say, well, actually, I've lived there only for a summer. I think it was about 4 months at a time. And I've gone there many times on holiday, but I'd never actually lived there. So I just wanted to clarify that because I was called out on it, even though that wasn't the intention. I think you understand that I never actually lived in Nigeria.
I understood that and I knew that, but like, when you're there for 3 months or 2 months in the summer or etc., you've kind of experienced living, especially at that age where you don't have a job, etc. So living is actually either being in school or being out of school. You know what I mean? It makes no difference. But yeah.
Yeah, I think my longest stretch was 4 months. So in that sense, I got a taste for the country, but I don't think it's not a country I could live in permanently, or actually I could, because I think I can adapt anywhere, but it wouldn't be one of my number one choices.
I mean, it's like everywhere else in the world as well, it's it depends as well where in the country. Like, I'm pretty sure some areas of Nigeria look like paradise still. Same with Jamaica, same with even Cyprus, even, regardless of them being that westernized or not. There's always nice places to be at and bad places to be at.
Yeah, I think Lagos is so densely populated that it's too much. If you're talking about the nice, probably untouched
Mm.
clean places, they're probably further out.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
even in Lagos, there might be
It's like
some
Egypt.
of the rich areas probably look really good.
Cairo. Cairo's like insanely populated place. I couldn't believe it. Like there was, I don't know how to explain it. It's like when you have like a swarm of ants coming out of the ant hole, whatever the house. It's the
Yeah.
same in Cairo. It's the amount of people are insane. I've never seen that many. Um, it's
But you know
almost
what's
like they were
funny?
thrown in a city like to overpopulate it all at once, and it's so like I was just on the bus and it was like holy shit, I never seen that much. And then if you go to Alexandria, that's like, you know, 5-star everything. It's so clean, it's nice. Well, I don't know now, but at the time it's
But
completely the opposite.
here's a funny thought about those densely populated countries, like Nigeria and Egypt. I don't know what their corona numbers are, but if you were gonna think that it's gonna spread somewhere, you would
Mm.
think it's in those countries that are so poor and densely populated that it's like the perfect place for a virus to spread. But I don't think their numbers are that high, are they?
The thing is, as well, you know, how many people are reporting it, how many people, you know, it's a different thing
That's true.
completely. So all this, it's not just based on tests. You don't know how many tests they've done as well, how accurate it is, what's really been registered. All that stuff affects numbers, number one. Number two, I think disease kills disease. So I think that like there is other problems that are probably worse.
Well, yeah, that's
So
right.
you know what I mean? Like that's like what, the flu? Yeah, well, forget it.
Yeah, I mean, I read the stat today, and a guy was counting the number of deaths in countries, and I think he found that out of the 250 countries in the world, uh, like 200 of them didn't have any deaths at all from coronavirus, right?
Oh shit.
So it's only about 50, maybe even less than 50. But that doesn't really tell you much because it just means that there might be corona deaths in all the other countries. They just haven't
Yeah.
identified it or diagnosed it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure there's some third world countries out there and areas that are like where there isn't a hospital or even a doctor for miles and miles and miles. And the person who gets corona, he's not going to call that 77 number and be like, wait, just got to let you know before
Yeah.
I go, you know?
Well, I mean, if he's so remote from everything, then also he's not going to spread it, is he?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's not going to spread it either. How did he get it in the first place? You know, that's another question.
Well, oh
That's
yeah, that's true. If he's so remote, he shouldn't be getting it too.
but no, but yeah, the point is like, yeah, not everyone reports it. Not everyone has even the infrastructure to have that system. You know, they make it seem like, yeah, you know, it's just that easy. We know
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I am surprised there's no betting on that yet. You know, like they've been, like all these betting companies are completely bankrupt now that there's no sports.
Well, yeah. I
You
mean,
know, they should start betting on that. You know.
that would be. I mean, if people would go crazy if they did
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It would be.
coronavirus
It would
death
be like,
betting.
yeah,
People
yeah,
would
yeah.
go crazy, but
Yeah, it
maybe
must be
there's a
some
black market.
underground
Yeah.
dodgy shit. Yeah, unregulated. Um, but yeah,
Is
I
it gonna be
was.
more than flu? Is it gonna be less than the flu? Like you can have ACAs as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I found a way, by the way, to reduce crime rate now. Because you said underground, I remembered. It's
Go
very
on.
easy. All right, this is what I was thinking about, right? Remember, I told you I'm going to have an observation every time I go out and I'm in my thoughts, things are going to, you know, come. And I was going to the store and there was a kid who I think he was stealing something like a bag of sweets or something, you know. And I'm like, ah, you know what? Like, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna be there and be like a snitch guy. Hey, look what he did. What did he have in his trousers or something? Like, you know, kids are kids. You know, whatever. He's gonna learn someday.
Yeah.
Maybe the bad way. I'm not his parent. Um, Also, like I was thinking about the crime itself. It's not like he's like came in with a gun and said empty the till, and I'd be like, kids are kids, you know. You know, I appreciate that this is like just a bag of sweets. It doesn't harm anyone. No one gets fired over it, you know. Um, but then I was thinking, right, that most crime, it's regardless, like the bigger the crime, the bigger the sentence.
Yeah.
But doesn't that encourage people to make small crimes and then eventually grow out confidence to make the bigger crimes? Shouldn't the sentence be the same regardless of how big the crime is? So this way people realize, okay, look, if I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna go deep. I'll if I'm gonna kill one person, I might as well kill 20, at least, And then otherwise, maybe they'll chicken out and say 20
Well,
people. That's quite a big number.
I mean,
I might just not tell anyone. Yeah.
haven't you ever heard of the expression "the punishment should fit the crime"?
But
Because really, if you're going to punish everyone the same, what is the ultimate punishment? It's death, isn't it? So
yeah,
if you're going to be consistent, if you're going to
yeah,
punish
I
the
suppose.
murder the same, the same as the the candy theft, you're going to have to kill that kid who
No,
stole.
but what I want to do is I want to say anyone who steals gets 10 years. Anyone who kills gets 25 years. This is where we put the killers, 1 or 2 million, it doesn't matter. And this is where we put the thieves. Obviously, this is a super, minimal way of explaining it. But that's what I was thinking. That's how far as I got, by the way, because then I came in and this observation left my mind.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna get you to expand on that. So let me ask you an interesting question. Let's see what you say. If you imagine you're drunk and you drive, right? And then the police stop you,
Mm.
right? Should they punish you in the same way as if you were drunk and you drove and then you ran someone over and killed them?
Well, no, they shouldn't, but that's because there's two crimes there. There's the drink and driving, and there's the killing someone.
That's right.
So there's two
So
crimes.
so
On the
then
drink and driving, they should punish me for that alone. That's the same regardless of the levels of alcohol. Drink driving is drink driving. Boom. On the killing, they should punish me like anyone who. Boom.
who ran some, but
Yeah.
then you combine the two because you can run someone over, right? And
Mm.
it can be manslaughter. Well, I guess drink drive will be.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can run someone over and not be drunk,
Yeah.
and I think it'll be a lesser sentence than if you were drunk.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah. Technically, though, the one who wasn't drunk should have knew better than to run someone over, right? That's what I would say.
Well,
I'd
I
be
mean,
like, poor drunk guy. Like, drunk guy had a few drinks. He didn't know. He couldn't see straight. He didn't do it on purpose. That guy didn't even drink and he hit someone. I think that's
that,
worse.
that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's his excuse,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyways, no, man. I think it just came to me because I was thinking about it. I said I wonder if this bag of sweets will lead to him trying something else next time. Should he learn now? I'm like, is his fate in my hands? For a moment.
It probably was. I mean, he could have had a real ass whipping from his
Yeah,
parents,
exactly.
or maybe they encourage that kind of behavior.
Yeah,
Who knows?
maybe the sweets are for them.
Yeah. um. Anyway, I was thinking about it as well. That you know how you can get annoyed at your partner, right? In a way that you couldn't really get annoyed at strangers or friends or anyone else,
Yeah.
right? And I wonder if like it's a legitimate thing, because imagine you were getting annoyed at strangers in the exact same way that you're getting annoyed at your partner. How long would you last in the outside world?
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
then also think about it, like
Yeah, it's
is
almost
it
like you respect these strangers more than someone you're close to as well. It's
yeah.
like, oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to say anything. Let him be. I don't know this person. It's not my place to say. And it's like with your partner, it's like, no, it's my place to say. You do, da, da, da.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I mean, is it a real barometer or a real test on how much of an asshole you are, like on how you treat your partner? Because it's like with your partner you have a special privilege that you can get annoyed with them in a certain way that you don't have with strangers, and whether you abuse that privilege or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different thing as well because you do that with brothers, right? Let's take it
Yeah,
there first.
yeah,
Like with brothers, no doubt, whatever happens, you might be the biggest asshole. He might do something that would annoy you. But you're like, but he's my brother. That doesn't change. He's my brother. That's always the
yeah.
thing
He's
you
my
go
brother. I
back
can
to.
beat him up.
Yeah, and if you take friends, which is like less than a partner, but I would say more, not as much as a brother,
Yeah,
or if or like immediate blood family. But if you take friends, sorry, which is the least one, the you can easily say, what, I'm not speaking to this person anymore. This is the last time he did this to me, and that's it. We're no longer friends. You can say that. You can also
yeah, yeah, yeah.
fall out enough to, but with the partner though, you're kind of like there's a commitment. Maybe it's how deep the commitment is, where you know where
Yeah,
you
I,
kind of
I think
go back.
maybe the defining thing is how how long you've lived with them.
Yeah, how long
Because
we've lived.
because brothers and partners, I say, would go in the same category. You get annoyed at them in the
Yeah,
exact same
yeah,
ways, uh, but with friends you don't. And with friends, you might start doing it if you've lived with them for 10 years, right?
yeah. Or if
But
you've been friends with them since childhood, where you might be like, you know what, I know how he is. He's a Jew. I
I
don't know.
still don't. Yeah, I still don't think you can react to the to them or with them the same way that you would with a partner
Yeah,
unless you've actually lived with them.
yeah, yeah. But it is interesting. It is funny as well because with the complete stranger, it's like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to upset him.
Well, yeah.
You know?
I think maybe like for an evolution standpoint, you couldn't survive that long because if you're acting that way with strangers, you
Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah.
know who's gonna pull a gun on your ass or
Yeah, and also like there's most of the time with strangers, there's going to be a lot more. It's not going to be like at your house where you can have an argument behind closed doors if there is a bickering or whatever. With
yeah,
strangers, it's going to be outdoors. There's going to be other people, so you're not just arguing with one stranger. You're actually making other people think that you're an angry type of guy, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
wouldn't be able to survive. So you're affecting your radius.
yeah. But then again, here's another interesting thought that you grow up with your brothers, right?
Mm.
And you live in the same house and you go through the same things and yet you fight, and mostly you fight because you're different or you want different things or you expect different things. Now why are you different from your brothers?
Age,
It's
number
not
one.
like, yeah, well, it could be age,
Right? I mean,
but
like, as in a general, if someone is older than their brother by a certain amount of years, then they
but
would
then
be coming from two completely ways backgrounds, two generations.
but then let's say you're 2 years older than your brother, right? And
Mm.
then 2 years have passed. Theoretically he should be exactly like you were after 2 years, if you know what I mean. But that doesn't work out that way.
No, because also put it this way, it's the age as well, the defining age at the time. Because take this for example, the cartoons I watched as a kid were the cartoons that Khalid watched as a kid. However, there were cartoons that Khalid watched, which I never seen because I had grown the cartoon age, yet he
Yeah,
was still in the cartoon age.
but then
Power
do you
Rangers isn't something I ever got into because I don't know, I was grown from that, but Khalid was still no, it's all about the Rangers.
All right, then if you guys were raised exactly the same way,
Pokemon
watching the
as well.
same cartoons,
Mm.
playing the same games or whatever, would you have turned out exactly the same?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because friends wise, when you think about it, the age gap of 2 years isn't a lot when you look at it. Most people had brothers or something, so like they'd always be a younger brother or an older brother, I'm sure, in most cases. And I'm thinking about my case now just to see if, but to answer your question, but yeah, I would say pretty much.
I don't know. When I think of my brothers and and everything, I think I'm quite different
Mm,
from the rest of my family anyway.
mm,
Um, but to be honest, the siblings, all because we're four,
mm,
um, we're all somewhat different from each other, right? None of us are exactly the same. We all have different
Yeah.
characters and
No, definitely.
personalities.
There's still
But
characters and from experiences that
yeah,
you don't have the same experiences every single one.
I always think I was always going to turn out different anyway, just for the main reason that I think there's free will, and the choices I made were always going to be the choices I made, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Unless I think what can affect you is if like some real um, tragedies or something, some shocking thing that happens in your
Hmm.
life.
Yeah.
But other than that, if those don't happen, you kind of make choices, and even despite those tragedies, you could still you
Yeah,
still
yeah,
have to
yeah.
make
People
choices.
deal
And
with them differently, but then
yeah,
after a while, there, that's it. It's past.
yeah. So I think it is free will that separates the choices that we make, that separates who we are.
Yeah, I suppose. But when you think about in terms of like, talking about like the basic characteristics of things, like hobbies or different things that we like, or your way of your ideal lifestyle or whatever,
Yeah,
yeah, like those things. Like for example, I love gaming. My older brother loves gaming even more than me, and then my younger brother doesn't touch any video games. It's just no. And that could be as well because my younger brother, by the time me and Hamza, we were always gaming, right? And then by the time I was becoming a teenager, my younger brother was always with me. So it could be that he didn't get to that gaming stage that I had. You know what I mean? So that's why he doesn't like gaming. Maybe that was the choice there. And he also made free will choice of saying, you know what, I'd rather go out or meet my friends or whatever, go for coffee, cinema, whatever. And yeah, and then there's other characteristics around like which sports we like. At the end of the day, these are based on decisions or experiences you've had. If you've played golf, you might enjoy watching golf. If you've never played golf, you might hate it.
yeah.
You
So,
know.
well, I was talking to my sister, and she said she's telling me that I was never the type to like to go out, to want to go out and socialize, right? And
Mm,
I said, actually, it's not that. It's that I find people very boring. You know,
mm,
if I think if I had really interesting friends, so Joe Rogan, I think he socializes with really interesting people. He doesn't socialize with normal people. He's socializing with like all kinds of different people who have so much to offer in different things.
yeah.
And I think if I had access to that kind of people, I'd be socializing all the time. It's just that I don't, unfortunately, have access to very interesting people all the time. I mean, some people are interesting, and I'm interested in talking to them, and I talk to them freely, and I enjoy it. But they tend to be the people that don't want to go out much either.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That's a weird thing as well. And yeah, that's a weird thing as well. I'm kind of like that. Me, to be honest, it's a bit of a different thing, right? Like, for example, I'll give you, me, it's much more, it doesn't necessarily come from a knowledgeable thing, like how smart they are or whatever. But me, for example, I kind of find the chameleon in conversations. I'll give you a perfect example to explain
okay.
myself because I'm not making any sense right now. I'm sorry for those who are listening to me. But
Uh, Also, after you explain your example, I want you to finish it off with the song "Kama Kama 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 Chameleon."
all right, maybe for the ending. But I realize that my friends are they come from in completely different shapes and forms and personalities and characteristics, etc. And I'll give you, when I was in Malta, for instance, I had about 4 or 5 different friends, but not necessarily all of those friends were compatible. And it made me realize that I actually, for me, when I find a person, it's not about necessarily what they have. It is about what they have to offer, but like in terms of conversation and all that. But what I like to do is I'm discovering a new genre. It's almost, I'm not saying it in a bad way or making it seem like I have so many friends. Please don't think that. But it's almost like avatars, right?
Yeah.
There is, for instance, a friend of mine, lovely guy, like really, really amazing guy that I had in Malta, and you know, he was a bit crazy, like as in cray cray. Like, when you have a few drinks with him, when you do whatever, his mind, like most people, they think in the box or they think out of the box. He doesn't have a box, but the thing is, there was so much comical things that came out of this, or so many like amazing stories and whatever experiences, because of that, because of the fact that he's a bit out there, and it gives him so much actually more personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's different things like that, and that's like that makes sociable for me extremely like something I love to do. I don't necessarily like the way people socialize right now, because it's not necessarily the way I grew up to socialize. You know what I mean? But there is it's more about discovering how the characteristics of that person, even though you don't necessarily gain from knowledge or whatever.
Yeah, but then look, if you meet someone new, right? I think there's two types of people, but let's see which one you are. When you meet someone new, right? Are you trying to sell yourself to them, or are you trying to get them to sell themselves to you?
I'm always the guy who I project their personality. I adapt to them.
Okay, so you're selling yourself. You're a
I
salesman.
don't. Yeah. Why I'm selling it's not necessarily, it's a way of communication more than selling myself. That's how I see it. So
Oh,
I
okay.
adapt to people's characters very, very well. So I end up getting along with a lot of people, because this way they realize, oh my god, this person gets it, and it takes me time
Okay.
sometimes, but eventually I'll get there.
Oh,
Sometimes
okay.
there's been cases where I haven't been friends with someone for, like, I knew them, but without really necessarily knowing them, until I spent 2 hours with this person on one afternoon or evening, and then you realize, oh my god, I figured it out. This is the best way to speak to this person.
So what type of personality do you think you'd find it the hardest to to be a chameleon with?
Someone who doesn't speak, like the very quiet people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's because you are very talkative.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
And quiet people hate talkative people.
That's true.
I know who hates me.
Yeah.
But I am like that, and to be honest, that's what makes it like in Malta, man. There were some times where you realize this is amazing, that you meet people, they have an impact on your life in a tiny way, and then after, you're never going to see them again. After 3 days, you're never going to see them again. And Sarah, when I first met my wife, and I'm like, oh, this is my friend, and this is my best friend, and this is my best friend, and this is my friend. She's like, Mark, not everyone can be your best friend, Shirley. I'm like, Sarah, there is a story or something or etc. that got the connection that makes it that way. It's not like just that it's an acquaintance. And yeah, you learn afterwards to realize, okay, this is more an acquaintance. I don't actually see this guy that much or whatever. But but I'll tell you one story. For example, I remember one night we went out all together, me and the group, etc. And then, like, you're tired. I didn't feel like drinking, so I said I'll go home. And on my way home, I went to an ATM machine to withdraw money for the taxi, and behind me I could hear two people just going, "Rebounds, rebounds." I don't know. They were saying some weird word, and I turn around like, "What's that word?" And I asked them, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, hi, how are you?" Blah blah. And I'm like, they're like, "We wanted to give you these," and then they give me a bunch of vouchers, like free drink, whatever. And I'm like, "No, no, don't worry about it. I'm actually taking money to go home now." And they're like, "Oh, okay." They're like, "We were gonna go home as well." And then just he's like, "Unless, do you want to just go use them now and we all drink together?" I'm like, yeah, okay. And then we went, and this is two random strangers. Like, they could have been anyone, It was like a question of trust or not trust. They seemed trustworthy. They seemed
Okay.
normal. ended up being the best night of my life, man. Like one of the best nights in terms of partying, having fun, getting to know people, very nice people. We like connected directly, with all three, and very nice people. Next morning, I wake up and um,
You
like
got roofied.
no, I wake up at home. I wake up at home.
Okay.
And Khalid's like, your phone's been ringing all morning. And I just look at my phone and it was a missed call from a number and I didn't recognize the number. I called back and it was one of the guys that I had met, right? There was a guy and his girlfriend or friend. But anyways, so he's like, hey, Mark, are we still on for today? And I'm like, oh, what plans did we do? Like, refresh my memory. And he's like, oh, yeah, you invite us over to, have a few drinks and chill at your house and meet your friends and family. And I said, yeah. I said, come over, And I'm like, we've got guests coming. They're going to help me remember what happened last night. And to be honest, lovely time, etc. I ended up introducing them. They were there. They were journalists that were there in Malta for 3 days to review some festival. And a friend of mine was going to that festival, and they ended up going together. And lovely guys, really nice. And then when we went to Amsterdam, because they were from the Netherlands, years after, it was like, oh yeah, we're coming to Amsterdam, by the way. Okay, no problem. I'm here. Like as soon as we arrived, he came to our apartments. Let me take you, let me show you around. Because the guy was a journalist for these articles on bars, on nightlife, etc. So he ended up taking us to different bars, drinks, this. And he returned sort of the favor that we get, like the hospitality that we gave him for 2 days in Malta. He returned it for 2 days in Amsterdam for us. And then that's
Yeah.
it. I haven't spoken to the guy or even in contact with the guy. But then again, if I bump into him in the street, or if I ever speak to him again, or if he ever tells me, hey, I found you, I'm in Ireland, do you want to come for a beer? No hesitation. As if I know him already, so well.
Yeah, actually, that's a nice. I enjoyed listening to that story. That's a really nice. It's
Yeah,
like a fairy tale.
but that's the thing, man. That's why you have to socialize. You have to meet different people of different genres, because otherwise you stay in that circle. You only know certain things. You'd have to take interest in things that you think you don't like, because you never figure out who you actually are, since you're still making those choices and they're still impacting your decisions and all that.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, and it applies to everything in life, but um, you know, you can have there are great advantages to socializing with the right people, but it is so destructive to socialize with the wrong people.
Mm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
Okay.
yeah,
Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up another episode. For the Joker, I'm the Thinker. Until next time.